neighbors just about everywhere. So where's their theocratic ethno-state? Who are we going to kick off their land at gunpoint to give Romanis a homeland?
You know, as a Romani person, I often hear from both sides of the political spectrum that us Romani people need a homeland. On one side, we have, y'all are indigenous to South Asia, you don't belong here. On the other, y'all are indigenous to South Asia, you don't belong here. Both are equally harmful. And this idea comes from the fact that yes, Romani people, we come from South Asia. Our ancestors were indigenous to the Indian subcontinent and entered Europe about 700 years ago. Since then, we have been continuously persecuted, oppressed, enslaved, genocided, you name it, up until this very day. That's why we say for us it continues. Romani people are still denied human rights almost everywhere we go. There's nowhere that's safe for Romani people. So my question is, why should we have to leave our homes in order to get basic human rights? And conversely, why do we have to kick people out of their homes in order to make a homeland for us? Why does our liberation have to come at the expense of somebody else? If we look back into history, around the same time Zionism was gaining popularity, people were encouraging a homeland movement for Romani people. Who are those people? European colonial powers. We wanted anything to get us out of Europe and make it seem like it was our choice. We had our suitcases already packed at the door and everything. And some Romani leaders fell for it and started strongly advocating for our own theocratic ethno-state. Thankfully, our community rejected them and called them traitors. Because while yes, in a perfect world, Romani people having our own country would solve so many problems. But we don't live in a perfect world. There's no uninhabited land out there. Our liberation cannot come at the expense of indigenous peoples. People always ask me, you're Romani, why aren't you a fan of Zionism? Especially after everything that Jews and Romani people have gone through, even together. I agree, Jews and Romani people have had it terrible and continue to have it terrible. If there's anybody that understands that, it's a Romani person. But as a Romani person, I would never support teaming up with the European colonial power to carve out our own theocratic ethno-state in South Asia, displacing 750,000 indigenous peoples from their homeland. Especially when Romani people, we already have a homeland. Our Romanistan, our Romani homeland is wherever we live. Our ancestors lived 1,000 years ago should not decide where we're allowed to live. I know this is not me saying everybody whose family didn't live there before 1940 should go back. It's actually the opposite. That we should be striving for a multicultural society. One where your ethnic, national, or religious origin shouldn't determine where you're allowed to live. And one that doesn't come at the expense of indigenous people that were already living there. Romani people should not have to leave our homes to have our rights respected. We should be able to live in a multicultural society. And that's what we should be striving for, not an ethno-state.